Yo guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I will be talking about Wicked for Good. Alright, so after 11 and a half months, it's finally time for us to talk about Wicked for Good, the long-awaited sequel to Wicked, the second part of the story from the stage play and the book adaptation that was made by Gregory Maguire. If you want to know, there's a book of it, and that is what they made into a stage play Broadway musical, and that is what has been brought to the screen in two separate parts, one movie about the first act, the second movie about the second act. Today we will be talking about Wicked for Good, the newest film within the franchise, the epic conclusion to this beautiful two-part film. And I have to say, I had a lot of excitement going into this film. I was not as excited for part one because I thought it was going to be just a mediocre film, just going to be another musical with a pop star being an actress in it, like Ariana Grande. Totally forgot that she wasn't victorious and stuff like that. So I wasn't really that hyped for Wicked Part 1, but I was intrigued enough to go see it in a VAR premiere or just in a pre-screening. And I was absolutely mesmerized by that movie. It caught my attention. It did not leave me for the rest of the year, and it ended up being one of my top 10 favorite movies of 2024. So I had a lot of high expectations going into Wicked for Good because I wanted it to be as good as Part 1 was. And I can definitely say this movie has more problems than the first one. This movie is not as great as the first one, but still it is very, very incredibly good. Like, a thing that is not as good in this film as it was in the first one is basically its storytelling. This one plays it more safe in a certain way by not making any differences or not making any big changes whatsoever. So they kind of play it very safe. They kind of play it just to make sure everyone will like this enough. But in that second act, there is so much content in there that it sometimes feels extremely convoluted in this film. Like, there are a lot of things going on at the same time. Sometimes you will need a second to process what just happened, but they are already two steps ahead again, and they're already going to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and they have to memorize that they had the entire animal plot line, which is something that I kind of wanted them to do something more with, because it's there until it's not, and then, oh yeah, that was a problem, and then they forget about it again, and then it was a problem again. In the end, I still feel like they done almost enough with it, but I still needed a little bit more of importance on that regard, as it was so incredibly important in that first half. A lot of attention went to that problem in the first act of the film, but in the first film, but in this one, it kind of was more on the downside. It kind of was more in the back. And you also have, of course, all the Wizard of Oz tie-ins. Like in the last film, I was extremely scared, okay, but right now it feels like this was right after I ended the first one. I felt like, okay, so it's interesting enough, but I am extremely confused as to, they make it look like Glinda is going to be the bad guy and Elphaba is actually the good guy, which is entirely the opposite of what the Wizard of Oz foretold us. But I had not seen Wicked. I still haven't seen the Broadway show of Wicked. I still want to see it, but I still haven't seen that one, so I don't know what the story is about. I don't know where it went, where it would go, and where it would end up. So I can definitely say that the way they tied everything together in this film is beautiful, is absolutely mesmerizing. I absolutely loved every single thing that they did with the ties with the Wizard of Oz and the things you don't know from the Wizard of Oz that happened behind the scenes in certain aspects. They did it very clever and very smart to make sure that they don't break anything down from the Wizard of Oz to get more for this film. Like everything made sense. If you would watch The Wizard of Oz, it would be perfectly possible for all of this to happen behind the scenes. I think that was done in a very genius way, in a very good way, and in a very satisfying way. Especially in its third act when everything went loose and when everything is coming to an end and they're closing the film off, like the last 10 minutes of the film. Absolutely mesmerizing. My mouth fell open multiple times just because I did not expect a certain thing or just because it was so incredibly good or so emotional. This film is extremely emotional and I really, really loved that. A downside to the entire Wizard of Oz plotline is the fact that they absolutely think that everyone knows the Wizard of Oz by heart, which in most cases probably is the case. So I think a lot of people know what the Wizard of Oz is about and how the story progresses. May have not seen the movie, but they still know what the Wizard of Oz is. But for the people who don't know the Wizard of Oz or who have never seen it and don't even know what it is about or have never even heard of the Yellow Brick Road, those people I think will be a little confused, maybe even very confused with the second half of this film because they add the entire film of The Wizard of Oz into the story, but only bits and pieces. Like they only take the big events and show them from afar, and everything in between you just have to figure out for yourself. For instance, without spoilers, they have Dorothy going on her walk, and then a second later in the film, she's already at the wizard for the first time. So there's an entire plot line where she meets the characters that you just miss. And there's something that will confuse a lot of people who don't know the Wizard of Oz, which might throw some people off of this film. But for me personally, it still was really good because I know the Wizard of Oz and I know it by heart because I watched it many, many times already. Another great thing I liked in there was those certain characters I was just talking about, the characters you meet in The Wizard of Oz. They kind of give all of them a backstory, and I really like that. Like, I noticed they were kind of forgetting one, and then in the end you get a reveal for why that one was forgotten and why they didn't talk about that one with that one character, and it was one of the best moments of the entire film, in my opinion, because holy shit, I did not expect it. And if you're talking about everything that was great about the film and everything that might be convoluted or the storytelling being less refined as it was in the first time, and sometimes it being maybe. The movie has pacing issues because of all of those things I just told you about. So the movie could have flown a little better, in my opinion. It didn't have to be shorter, but sometimes scenes they tend to feel lengthy and other scenes they tend to feel very quick. The songs are absolutely great, by the way. Still think, and I do absolutely think that the songs in the first film are a lot better than the songs in this film. But especially in the third act again, No Good Deed and For Good are incredible songs, and I absolutely love that. And though both of these songs made me very emotional, and the one they wrote for Glinda for Ariana Grande, the Bubble song, also really good. So I was extremely happy with that. The songs are off the charts. Then I also remember that for the first Wicked, I was talking about the Oscar nominations that were probably going to go to this film, and I expected Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande both getting nominations for them, but I was also very clear on my standpoint that I did not think that they deserved the Oscar for this film, for Wicked Part 1, because I thought they were good performances, but nothing special, and it felt like that was mostly done due to popularity. I feel like that is going to happen again. They might nominate Cynthia Erivo for Elphaba and Ariana Grande Baptiste for Ariana Grande for Butera, not Baptiste, Butera, Ariana Grande Butera. They will probably nominate them again. That seems like a very logical option and a very logical play for them to do. But this time, with a difference to last time, I actually really, really hope that Ariana Grande is going to take it home, because Ariana Grande was absolutely incredible in this film. Not just one of the best performances of the year, but one of the best performances of the last few years I have seen in a long time. It was great. It was phenomenal. I absolutely loved the performance of Ariana Grande. She was phenomenal. And everyone else as well, by the way. But Ariana Grande absolutely steals the show. And that was me trying to do the hair toss. Alright, with that being said, I decided to give this one still a 5 stars and a heart. It's certainly not without its flaws, but the ending absolutely nailed the entire journey in my opinion, and I was mesmerized by what I saw. And I was extremely happy with the end product, making sure that this two-parter of a film is actually one giant 5-hour phenomenon you have to see. What did you think of Wicked for Good? Please let me know in the comments down below because I'm really excited to hear your opinion on it. I want to thank you for watching and I'd like to see you in the next video. Thank you and bye bye.